There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
Race is probably the most silenced subject in the United States. We don't talk about race in the United States, and yet it shapes so much of our views about the world.
I'm thrilled that I have my mother and my daughter with me tonight. My mother, Dorothy Rodham, my daughter, Chelsea Clinton.
Gender is going to matter not only a great deal in the elections, it's also going to matter an awful lot to get out the vote. What happens is that right now we see an enormous number of young people who are engaged in the Obama campaign, but we also see an incredibly large number of women between the ages of 45 and 65 who are actually quite supportive of Hillary.
As we look at where our country is right now, we've had a very difficult time this past 8 years. And I think people who were misled by the administration that we have in place right now and voted for what they perceived their program was going to be and the effects it was going to have with America, a lot of them are feeling let down. And a lot of them are women and people of color. And there has to be another answer. There have to be people who care about the people of this country, about how our country interfaces with others. You have to care about the global picture, the economy, and all of it, how it's affecting us. And does everyone in our society here in America, can everyone participate? Do we all have a role? Are we taking care of the people here in our country? We want leaders that reflect that concern. And I would say if we look at America, there's no way that we can take women and people of color out of that as being part of that representation.
Do I think America is ready for a candidate that's not a white male? I think so.
As I look back at the Christine Ferraro time when she ran for vice president and being just totally excited about the fact that women, yes, we can. It is possible. And I think that's what the message is sending around America, is that it is possible for everyone, regardless of the culture, regardless of your background, whether you're male or female. America is about everyone being able to be involved in this process and being able to have a voice that leads us.
When you formulate the issues that way, as I have a right to, because I believe in equality, and not let's transform our society so that it's more inclusive and more generous to the earth, for example. By not doing that, we lean into this, because I'm a woman, I want the women to vote for me. No, I am not going to vote for a woman because she has ovaries.
Internationally, if you run as a woman and you run because you think, well, at least I could do no worse, that the guys have screwed things up, you know, that's the first way you lose. That you can't just play to a special interest, even if that special interest is majority culture. What you have to be able to do is to represent the bigger issues. But your base can indeed be a very solid, in this case, women and young people. It can be the base from which you launch, that you make a difference, that you're seen as somebody new, a fresh voice, new ideas. The fact is that when it comes to how you win overall, you've got to be good on those issues.
I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old that I brought here today because I know how historic this event is and that their future could very well depend on who gets into the White House in 2008.
You know, as Martin Luther King say, one should be measured on the content of their character, not on the color of their skin.
There's so much that's trivialized in this, and race and gender is just one of them. But definitely the issue of peace and how it links to race and gender is a central component to that.
Sitting here in the A. Philip Randolph offices, as you look around the room, you'll notice there's a lot of posters, and one of them behind me is a poster from our organization that comes from the early 70s, right after the marches with Martin Luther King and A. Philip Randolph, who organized the March on Washington, D.C. in the early 60s. And the most important thing is somebody paid the price for your right. And in many cases, somebody died for our right to vote. As African Americans, we can never take for granted that privilege, and for all of our ancestors that fought so hard to ensure that we have it.
People keep talking about the civil rights in the 60s as if, you know, that might have been a defining moment of civil rights, but civil rights have not ended. I think they're just taking a different form. You know, before it was trying, you know, getting people the right to vote, you know, equal housing, equal employment, equal. Now, while all these things are on the books, you know, in reality, I don't think they've actually ended in any way. They've been, you know, people talk about, well, if Obama is elected, will it mean, you know, that racism is over in America? And my answer is no. It's showing progress, but not necessarily that by itself will show that racism has ended.
I think there's much ado being made of gender and perhaps people of color running. I think that what it is, it's amazing to me that from Iowa, New Hampshire, how little it really is playing out with real people. It's not that they're talking about gender, it's not that they're talking about class or race. What it is that they're talking about what excites them. That what this is about is going to be what's going to move you. And I think that if you have women and men who can rouse a sleepy population, particularly after an unpopular president, yeah, I think that it brings a lot to the debate.
I think we have a great opportunity with a Hillary and a Barack in office for there to be this huge cultural uprising of all kinds of groups getting involved in a way that they never had before. And that's what I hope comes out of this. I hope that this is just the beginning. I hope that at the next presidential election there'll be such a diverse group of people that race and gender, we won't even be talking about that. It'll just be who's the best candidate.
I feel that the issues are so important in terms of the relationship of our future and the future of our great-grandchildren's children. That this is such an important issue. We have to think. We have to not want to win so much that we give up thinking.